The Man with the Yin-Yang Eyes. Episode 4. I think all of you will not feel unfamiliar with the name Lucius Gregory, right? Yes, that's me, a guy who looks very ordinary with nothing outstanding. But I have a unique feature that is different from other people, which are my eyes that can see through yin and yang. The time I met you not long ago must have been the time when I told you the story of the burning ghost, right? I'm back today, which means I have another story to tell you guys. It was just a normal day like any other day. I leave work and go home on the familiar road I pass every day. But the strange thing is, when I was walking to an intersection, I felt something weird. The feeling of wanting to take off my glasses came back to me. I didn't have time to think much, and the action was faster than my brain. When it came to my senses, I found that I had already reached for my glasses. Right in the middle of the intersection, I saw a blurry figure, apparently a boy. That blurry figure kept circling in the middle of the crossroads. No matter how many cars passed through, the boy was still just hanging around like that. As expected, this time I had to deal with one more thing about ghosts. I stepped a little closer to the boy's ghost to take a look. I saw the boy's face and felt pity. His face was crushed on the road, one side was completely destroyed, and there were dried bloodstains on the face and body. I watched for a while and speculated that maybe this boy had died in a car accident, and that the car accident happened at the crossroad where he was hanging around. The boy didn't seem to be aware of his death or something. I stood there for a while and only saw the boy standing there bewilderedly. The lines of traffic passing through his body, it was strange. I don't know why the boy's spirit keeps hanging around. I looked closer a few times and saw that there were still some bloodstains on the ground. The bloodstains still looked very new. Maybe the accident happened just recently. I wanted to ask the boy why he kept hanging around, but unfortunately, I couldn't communicate with the ghost. I need to find someone to help this boy. If he stays here forever, he will become a vengeful spirit. Here, take it. Let's have a cup of tea first, and then we'll talk. When encountering such things, the person I can think of is of course Mr. Simmons. I quickly took a taxi to go to his house to ask for help. Mr. Simmons always told me to remember to use my unique eyes to help others, so he seemed to know what I was here for today, and was very happy to invite me in. According to what you told me, I understood a bit. That child is currently locked in a soul at that intersection. I drank some tea and then told Mr. Simmons what happened earlier and asked him if he could help the boy. Mr. Simmons listens and says that the boy's soul is locked at the crossroads. Soul locked? I was a bit confused, half understood what Mr. Simmons said. I repeated that phrase in a doubtful voice. To put it simply, after his death, that boy's soul was stuck at that intersection and couldn't walk. Mr. Simmons took a few sips of his tea as he slowly explained to me what he had just said. It turns out that when people have an unexpected accident, their souls will be stuck right where they had the accident. There are also many other reasons why souls are trapped. But in the case of the boy you told me about, it was because he was suddenly dead in a car accident, but the family did not believe in ghosts, or lacked understanding of spiritual matters, so did not seek to free the boy's soul. Mr. Simmons said that if you want a person's soul not to be trapped, they must find a way to the place where they have an accident to free that soul. So what can I do to make the boy's soul liberated? I don't know much about these spiritual matters, so I asked Mr. Simmons for more. There are many ways. The easiest way is to invite spiritual masters or a shaman to go there directly to recite the transcendental mantra for the boy's spirit. There are also a few other ways. As if I had one method, that was to bring the boy's family to the crossroad where the boy had the accident, let them hold a bell with a few drops of their blood, cover it with a red cloth. Then walk around there ringing the bell and summoning the boy's spirit, letting him know he's dead, then say the transcendental mantra, that's it. Mr. Simmons, still neither fast nor slow, answered my question slowly. That's why as soon as someone has an accident, people often invite the master to come and burn votive paper. Mr. Simmons also said that if the soul is left there without helping it escape, it will either become a resentful spirit and harm people, or it will cause it to be scattered, forever unable to be reincarnated. How to find the boy's relatives now? Don't you have a friend who is a police officer? I wanted to help him but still couldn't think of any way to find the boy's relatives. Suddenly Mr. Simmons reminds me that I have a cop friend. Oh my gosh, it's my mind. Then I can forget about Officer Lee. Remember and follow the method I taught you and you will be fine. I said goodbye to Mr. Simmons and left. Before I go, Mr. Simmons handed me the bell and red cloth, then warned me to be careful again. I didn't want to delay too long, so as soon as I walked out the door of Mr. Simmons, I took out my phone and called Officer Lee right away. I briefly recapped the whole story and asked Officer Lee to help me find out where a recent car accident was compatible with the boy's case and asked him to help find information about his relatives. Certainly, Mr. Simmons prompts just in time. Officer Lee told me to wait a moment, and a few minutes later, he sent me the name and address of the boy's relative. I sent him a text thanking him and rushed to catch a taxi to their house. I gave the address that Police Lee had provided to the driver, and he drove me to an apartment complex. I went in and took the elevator to go up to the apartment of the boy's relatives. While standing in the elevator, I thought about explaining and telling them about the boy's soul. I've reached the place and still can't think of how to say it well. I've been standing in front of the door for more than 10 minutes and still haven't dared to raise my hand to knock. In the end, I knock on the door, intending to report what I saw, and I was prepared to be scolded by them. As soon as I knocked twice, a woman in her 30s opened the door. "Who are you looking for?" The woman looked rather emaciated, her face extremely sad and lifeless. She opened her question to me in an indescribably choked voice. I observed that and thought I had found the right home. "I saw your son, the boy's soul." I hesitated a bit and stammered. Even though I was prepared to be scolded and sent away, I still hesitated when I said it. I thought that when she heard me say that, she would think that I was talking nonsense and cursed me for being psychotic, then slamming the door, but no, she didn't react as I thought. On the contrary, I found her so surprised that her eyes widened when she heard me say that. She stood stunned and stared at me with wide eyes for a moment, then came back to her senses and said sorry to me and invited me inside. Her attitude was very good, not what I expected. She invited me to sit in a chair and went inside. Apparently, she came in to call her husband out. I was sitting and looking at the house when I glanced at a picture on the table where I was sitting. I see a handsome child smiling brightly inside the photo. I looked for a moment and compared it with the child I saw at the crossroads. That's right, he can't go anywhere. Did you really see my son's soul? Can you tell me where the boy's soul is? I waited for a few minutes when the woman and her husband came out. As soon as her husband helped her sit down, she quickly looked at me and asked, looking like the lady was in a hurry to know about her son's soul. I briefly explained to them that I had the special ability to see ghosts. And then just now, about 2 hours ago, on my way home from work, through an intersection, I saw the boy's spirit, then asked someone to help find their address and came here. After hearing everything I said clearly, the woman covered her mouth with her hand and sobbed, her tears pouring like rain. The husband next to him had tears in his eyes as well, but he seemed to be a bit calmer, and he told me about what had happened to their baby boy. The boy's name is James. About 4 days ago, James told his mother that the school offered basketball, so his mother took him to a store to buy him a basketball. James was extremely happy and hugged the basketball all the way. While the boy was playing with the ball slipped from the boy's hand and rolled into the street, and the boy quickly ran after the ball. The boy's mother saw this and quickly ran after her to stop her son. But unfortunately, James ran too fast and his mother could not keep up. As soon as the boy ran out into the middle of the road, a car sped up. The incident that day happened very suddenly. The car driver did not have time to brake, so the car hit the boy, blood splashing. The woman, who was also the boy's mother, witnessed the whole painful scene. When he finished speaking, the husband could not hold back his tears anymore. The man hugged his wife, and the couple sobbed, the house filled with their painful cries. In the days of the boy's death, the couple had trouble eating and sleeping. Especially the wife, she cried all the time and couldn't stop. At night she kept dreaming that her son was looking for her. She said her son came looking for her in a dream, and he said he didn't know where he was. He wanted to go home. He wanted to see his mommy. The boy said that outside where he was standing, it was cold and hot, uncomfortable, and his body was getting farther and farther away. After each dream, the mother wakes up with tears on her face, and they don't know what to do. They don't know anyone with spiritual abilities that they can trust. Because of those dreams, when I said that I saw the boy's soul, the woman did not scold me for my nerves and did not overreact, even believing me unconditionally. I waited for them to calm down a bit, then told them briefly about the boy's situation and the psychedelic that Mr. Simmons taught me. They also did not want their son's soul to stay there forever, so they agreed with me. I did not hesitate any longer, but quickly took out 2 bells and red cloth from my pocket that Mr. Simmons gave out. I told the woman who cut her hand to put a few drops of blood on the bells. Listen to Mr. Simmons said, when the blood of a loved one and the sound of the bell are mixed together, it will help the soul to have a little more consciousness and escape more easily. Everything is ready. I put a red cloth over the woman's eyes and called a taxi to take them straight to where I saw James. Mr. Simmons told me to cover the red cloth carefully. Because when ringing 2 bells soaked in blood and calling someone's name in the night can attract some other evil spirits, and the bellbearer can see them. If the woman sees them and panics, it will all be ruined. Soon the taxi driver drove us to the intersection. I got out of the car. The man also helped his wife down and followed me to the middle of the crossroad, where the boy had an accident. Since the boy's accident, the boy's parents, because of their grief, have never crossed this crossroad once. They are afraid of remembering that horrible memory. Standing here this time, their legs trembled with pain. Okay, you can start now. The woman was trembling and in tears. I also felt a stinging sensation at the bridge of my nose. But in order not to be late, I urged them to perform the ritual quickly. James, where are you? Mommy is here, come here quickly with me. The woman was walking while ringing the bell, constantly calling the boy in her mouth. The sobbing and sad voice echoing in the dark night made me feel a pang in my chest. I raised my hand to take off my glasses to have a look. James, come follow me. I saw the spirit of the boy following the woman. Fortunately, apart from the boy's soul, there were no other evil spirits. James, Mommy here. Mommy misses you so much. The mother kept calling in a trembling voice. The boy's father and I followed behind the woman. We went behind to keep the woman safe, and I also wanted to keep an eye on the situation. Young man, is my child following me? Can I see him for a moment? The woman led the boy's spirit to the place where their family lived. I approached the boy and drew a circle under his feet. Mr. Simmons said I had to do it to stop the boy's spirit from following me. As soon as I finished drawing the circle, the woman asked me if I could take a look at the boy. Your son is inside that circle, but normal people can't see ghosts, son. I'm here. I really want to help her, but I don't know how. I can only say that her son is inside the circle I just drew. Before I could finish my sentence, she was already running over there. Let me hold you one last time, Mommy miss you so much, son. I see the woman hugs her son. I don't know if she saw the boy or if it was just a coincidence. The woman hugged her son and sobbed. Okay, now let the boy's soul escape. We both are very grateful to you. Please just do what is necessary. After a while, I told them it was time to let him go where he needed to go. The man bowed and thanked me. I follow Mr. Simmons taught and read the transcendental spell to the boy. The boy's soul gradually disappeared. Our son has gone to heaven, my dear. It no longer has to suffer. I've completed my quest to help the boy. When I finished what I needed to do, I slowly left the place. In the background, the couple is comforting each other. I go back home and think about the past. I feel pretty proud of what I have done and helped many people.